But what about the 1 million patients who suffer from what is known as treatment-resistant or refractory depression, for whom nothing works? Then what? At age 36, Deanna Benjamin Cole fell into a numbing depression. She could no longer function at work and withdrew from her husband and 3 young children. She spent most of the next 4 years inside this mental hospital in Canada.
At times, it was a very safe place to be, that I wouldn't have been safe somewhere else.
Every possible medical and therapeutic treatment had failed, including 80 electroshock treatments. It
got to the point where I thought everybody would be better off without me, because then they wouldn't have to go through the pain of seeing me feel the way I was feeling. And that's a really, really, really scary place to be.
But one last thread of hope was offered. Working at the frontier of brain research, neurologist Dr. Helen Mayberg had recently made an astonishing discovery with the aid of brain imaging. Mayberg already knew that every depressed patient's brain looked different. There seemed to be no consistent pattern among them. She also knew that most patients showed a decrease in activity in the frontal lobe, the brain's command center. But she noticed in the scans of patients who had recovered from depression, a tiny unmapped region of the brain called Area 25 showed a consistent decrease in activity from a previously elevated state.
What you could see across the various imaging studies, at least to my mind looking at the data, was what had to happen to get well across all of these very different kinds of treatment was turning down that activity in Area 25.
Area 25 sits at a critical intersection in the brain, with pivotal connections to other regions involved in mood, sleep, motivation, and drive.
This brain area is like it's at the core of all things. It's sitting in a place that when it goes wrong, havoc is wreaked.
When patients recovered, Dr. Mayberg noticed that not only did Area 25's activity cool off, but the frontal cortex's activity picked up.
The decrease in 25 tracked with the increase in frontal cortex. It's like they were linked. And this was one of our earliest clues about thinking about a system rather than any one brain area in isolation.
In an effort to pinpoint where moods occur in the brain, Dr. Mayberg conducted an experiment. She asked healthy volunteers to ponder sad thoughts. What she found was that the same system lit up. Area 25 became overactive, while the frontal cortex quieted down. But while healthy volunteers could bounce back quickly from their sad state, depressed patients could not.
And I always say the machinery is in a state. The software is in a bad loop. This is emotion stuck. This is sadness, unbreakable.
I think this idea of...
To Dr. Mayberg, the illness of depression was looking like a circuit board failure. So she decided to surgically target Area 25 in patients like Deanna with the hope of resetting the brain's rhythm.
If you can't talk it down, drug it down, shock it down, maybe you have to do something else in a much more precise, much more bulleted kind of way, if you will.
There you've got a really kind of picture-perfect view on the left side. That is the spot. And that
adapting a technique from the treatment of Parkinson's disease called deep brain stimulation, Dr. Mayberg's team is today treating a patient in a clinical trial at Emory University.
Right. Just kind of register how you're feeling right now and all those things. And if anything changes, you let me know.
Threading 2 electrodes into the brain, the doctors plan to stimulate Area 25 with a steady, low dose of electricity from a pulse generator, similar in concept to a pacemaker.
Ready? Go. You were fast again. Are you actually aware that your speed has been changing? What's going on?
In many patients, subtle but clear changes, including improved motor skills, are immediately noticed in the operating room.
Have you been having this sensation at different settings where there's a change in the apparent?
Occasionally I have noticed that the room gets lighter. It's almost instantaneously lighter, but not not instantaneously darker.
Deanna also experienced immediate changes in the operating room.
I was looking at Dr. Mayberg, and all of a sudden I felt that connection that I hadn't felt in over 4 years.
Okay, let's hear it.
It's as if the brain has been jump-started back to life, then allowing patients to do the hard work of reclaiming their lives.
The surgery was one of the obviously best things, best outcomes. But it doesn't change who I am innately. It doesn't make me a more happy person. It just helped fight through the depression.
Like many heart patients, Deanna now lives with a pulse generator implanted in her chest. But as she explains to people who ask, it does more than just stimulate her brain.
I will say that, it's a pacemaker to help my brain function properly, not my heart. But I guess in a way it does help your heart too, because it makes your heart feel right.
To date, more than 55% of patients participating in this highly experimental treatment have experienced a dramatic improvement in their symptoms.
Helen gave me that chance to live again, to be me. And that is a real gift.